welcome to the Unstoppable Freedom Podcast. I'm Jimmy Page. Hey, welcome back for part 2 in a 2-part series with our great guest, JJ Carrell. He's a 24-year former Border Patrol agent who has now created a documentary called What is Treason? It comes out in September of this year, and you're not going to want to miss it. And thanks for tuning back in for part 2, because JJ is revealing the truth of what is happening with this illegal immigrant migration across our southern border. This is legitimately an invasion. It's affecting every community in America, and it really does threaten the American sovereignty that we've enjoyed, our culture, our Western values of family, faith, and freedom. Here we go with part 2 with JJ Carrell. And here we have a city, New York City, an amazing city, a beautiful city. And when there's law and order there, it's one of the greatest places to live on earth if you like a big city. But what's happening in New York, I'm imagining, and Chicago, and Boston, and Philadelphia, and San Francisco, and insert the major United States city, is all the same, right? Aren't we destroying every one of our major cities like this?
Yeah, you are. And ask yourself why. Why?
Yeah.
And what you when you understand the NGOs who are the evil part of this with the federal government, they are registering all these people to vote. And you say, well,
okay,
the people can't vote. Well, yes, they can, because listen what they're doing. So let's take that Standard Club in New York, in Chicago, 1,200 residents. I signed up 1,200 people to vote. They're all going to leave. I'm going to collect the mail-in ballots. I'm going to fill them out. But guess what? It's not 1,200. I'll probably within a year get 15, 30,000 people in and out of that place. So I have 30,000 ballots. I just fill them out. Done. This is listen, we're talking about one detention facility. There's thousands across America, and they're hotels. The federal government has bought out hotels, all like the whole hotel. Let's take one in New York City, Row Hotel. Do you know that I talked to the man that created the Row Hotel, like created it, interviewed him for my documentary? He says there's 5,000 people in that hotel. 5,000. 5,000. It costs about $100 to feed one person a day. There's people that have been in there for 18 months. You have paid in 1 year $36,000 for one man to eat. You know what else he told me in that? Endless rapes are going on. Endless. And you know what they do? They ignore it because they don't want to lose the contract. They don't call it the PD, and they just ship the man out to another detention center so he can rape and pillage.
It's unbelievable. And the extent of this problem now, right? This is why people are super concerned, right? The extent of this problem seems so big that even when we talk about mass deportation, which is, of course, the only answer, and it has to happen immediately, mass deportation, 12, 15, 20 million, I don't know what the number is ultimately. But part
almost
of this
50
is because,
million.
I mean, oh my gosh, we have fundamentally dismantled America in a very short period of time. You mentioned all of the sex crimes and all of the atrocities that are happening to women. You mentioned, I think in the documentary, you talked about over 500,000 unaccompanied minors being arrested and released under the age of 17 into the interior. No one knows who they are, where they are, but we're the greatest consumer of child pornography, of pornography in the world. America is. And we also are the largest customer for sex trafficking. We have 500,000 or more unaccompanied minors. That's part of this superhighway for sex trafficking, isn't it?
Well, this is one of the stories that have reared its head that I didn't think was going to be that big. I knew it was big, but I didn't know at what scale. And it is dominating everything, everywhere I go. That's all it is. Joe Biden has arrested and released over 500,000 unaccompanied alien children, and they range from 17 years old to newborn babies. Newborn babies. There are over 150, maybe 200 child detention facilities just in Texas alone that hold anywhere from tens of children to thousands. There's over 400 child detention facilities across America, meaning the federal government has built a super pipeline, a conveyor belt, a distribution center of infrastructure to move children. Now, this is ugly, it's evil, but I'm telling you that the United States of America is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization, in modern history. How do I know this? Well, I lived it in the Border Patrol. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw men carrying babies and toddlers that were not theirs. Why do you think Joe Biden stopped all DNA testing now? No one gets DNA tested. Do you know that? Nope. Nope. Hey, that kid is not his. Well, no, it's my kid. Pound sand. Okay. And then they just, the cartels rent the children and they're sexually abused. Listen, let me just tell you one quick story of a guy that I interviewed that did the child escorting for 8 years. 8 years. I'm going to tell you two stories. Okay. First is he's a 24-year-old man, no kids, never had children, never held an infant, never said, I've never been around kids. Was given a child, a 3-month-old baby girl, to transfer from McAllen, Texas to upstate New York. He left. It was an 18-hour trip. He was given no diapers, no formula, no toys. So you have a 24-year-old man with a GED transporting a baby that sat in her poor little bottom of urine and feces for 18 hours, did not get fed for 18 hours. That baby should have been fed 5 times, changed at least 7 to 8 times, screaming on the plane, screaming. And I asked him, is that like an anomaly? No, that's all the time. And I said, well, who are the escorts? Meaning, are they have master's degree like social workers? No. I said, okay, where did you get them? Because there's thousands of them. He goes, well, we would go down to the local unemployment office in McAllen, Texas, where the average income is $11,000 a year. And we hire unemployed people, all of them with hardly any high school degree. You know how much they were making with per diem? Wait for it, $6,000 to $7,000 a week.
Unbelievable.
A week. Now let me tell you another story.
To traffic children, to transport illegal children.
Dude, you need about a 10-hour podcast just to scrape the surface. Let me just tell you this other story, how I know that they're doing this and they're doing it illegally. You have major child detention facilities throughout Texas, the major ones. Regularly, this guy, Carlos is his name, go to @informant Carlos on X. He's American Patriot. He tells me they would take 200 to 300 kids across Texas, drive all the way to El Paso. Why would you drive to El Paso in the middle of the night with 300 kids? Well, because in El Paso was a private airline, a private airstrip, and they would have 3 big jets, private jets, lined up, and they would jam all the kids in these 3 planes. He said, the kids and the escorts were forbidden to talk to the pilots or the stewardess, the flight attendants, and they couldn't talk to us. And then they would fly us in the middle of the night, all 300 of us, and land us all across America. And on the tarmacs were buses and rental cars waiting for us. And then he said, when I took them, normally I would take them to an airport, and somebody would meet me in baggage claim, and I would just let the kid go. No checks, no bounces, just let him go. But now I'm taking children in the middle of the night, and I'm driving at the break of dawn. And he says, I'm taking white kids to black people. I'm taking Asian kids to Hispanics. I'm taking Hispanics to whites. I'm taking children to people that have no relation to them. And he goes, when I would normally turn over a kid to a family member, there would be crying and tears and thank God you made it. He says, there's nothing. I was turning over thousands of kids as a business transaction. And he says, you know where I was? He says, I was all in upper middle class neighborhoods. What? He said, so I said, let's just say it like it is, Carlos. They were trafficking children. Yes, they were.
Unbelievable.
Happening right now, America. Right now, you are sitting in a nation that you've allowed to sex traffic hundreds of thousands of kids. It's a stain on your soul, America.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we call anybody that wants to close the border racist. Now, the good news is none of us care anymore because we're not racists. In fact, we're humanitarians. And in comparison to the evil of what our government and others is perpetrating right now, It's just amazing to me the extent of the problem. I didn't, as much as I know, you've brought 7 or 8 or 10 things already to light that I had no idea about how bad this actually is. Let's zoom out just a little bit more, because we know that treason means that, this is a controlled demolition of our nation. This is a betrayal of our country and what we stand for in the rule of law. When you zoom out just a little bit, because you have to keep asking, why do we want this? I believe this is a controlled demolition of Western nations and our way of life, meaning God, faith in God, the destruction of the family, the elimination of individual freedoms, and the imposition of tyrannical control from the government and the elites. Is that driving this thing?
Yes, that's the macro, right? You look at it, and how do we know? Because it's already happening in Western Europe. Western Europe's being decimated. They already came through elections, and they're putting in very, very nationalistic people because they want them all out of their country. But they have to take down America if there's going to be a global reset. Look, it's not my words.
Yes.
That's their words. The global reset.
Yeah.
Look, Sweden's going to fall. Sweden's population is almost tipping over to be all single adult military-age men raping all their women, and all their men are impotent and they don't do anything about it. But when Sweden falls, does anybody really care? Honestly, in the big picture economics, no. But if America falls, then the whole world gets reset. So that's what they're trying to do. Again, I'm going to go back to this question. It's a very simple question. The federal government has allowed in 30 million illegal aliens. There's 45 to 50 million illegal aliens inside our walls right now. Why would your government do that? It's an honest question. Why would they do that? And you can't give me an answer, can you? You can't. The only logical answer is what you and I are discussing. The intentional destruction of the United States of America. Look, I wrote my book, Invaded, and it was the subtitle, The Intentional Destruction of the American Immigration System. The real title, if I had to go back and know what I know now, would be The Intentional Destruction of the United States of America. They're just using illegal immigration as the vehicle to destroy America.
Yes.
You don't have to like what I'm saying. Look, I want to talk. I'd like to just take 5 minutes just to hit a topic that you said. It's very powerful. It is a demographic shift from citizens to non-citizens, but it's more devious how they're doing it. Okay. And no one, they do it because they do it within the mechanism of DHS. And I'm going to give you an example. The only people that can sponsor a person, a foreign national, into America is a U.S. citizen or a legal resident. Okay. And then you have to go to the Center for Immigration, USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, and you have to present a form called the Form I-134, Statement of Financial Declaration. Like you're going to get a mortgage, Jimmy. Okay, this is how I'm going to pay. I'm going to bring my brother in. I've saved up. Like we've heard the stories. I'm an Indian national. I've saved up for 4 years. Now I have enough money to bring my brother in. Well, the USCIS did something so sneaky that nobody even knows about. Is they came in and they changed the term for everyone that is under temporary protective status, DACA, the millions of people we brought in on parole and asylum, and deferred enforced departure people. Those are millions. And they took the term illegal alien off of them and put legal resident on them. So now those people, illegal aliens, can sponsor their family to come into America. But you ask, well, how can they do it? They live in hotels. They don't have bank accounts. They have no money. Well, this is where it gets better. The NGOs now can be their proxy. So the NGOs, we give NGOs billions of dollars. The NGOs bring over illegal aliens and house them, and then they become the financial backstop to allow that same Indian that wants to bring over his brother, he can bring over 10 people. He doesn't have to save his money. So that's how you're going to see the destruction. So you have 45 or 50 million people in America that are illegal aliens, and let's say they bring in 2 people. Now you have 50% of the American population is illegal aliens.
Overnight. Yep. It's unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable. And by the way, the biggest reason this is a problem is, of course, they don't share our values. They don't share our rule of law. They don't share our culture. They don't share our family value. They don't share any of it.
Nope.
And so, well, let me ask you this. So this is interesting because Mayorkas, let's talk a little bit about Mayorkas, because I know in your new documentary that comes out, I believe, in September, I think you talk quite a bit about him and his role in this open border invasion, in this emptying of prisons. Well, tell us a little bit about his role in this and why you think he's intentionally destroying the country.
Well, he's the tip of the spear. So you have to understand where he came from. He didn't fall out of the sky. Under President Obama, he was the director of USCIS, most powerful organization within the DHS for immigration. Then became, in the second term of Obama, became the deputy secretary. Now he's the secretary. Every policy that you are now witnessing, DACA, catch and release, deferred enforced departure, temporary protective status releasing, asylum, parole, CBP-1, flying illegal aliens, on and on and on. He created, one man created everything and implemented it. Let me just try to drive home the point of the treason. He was on a Sunday. I already knew this, and he hasn't admitted to it, and he finally admitted to it on a Sunday show last week, not 2 Sundays ago. And he said on ABC this week, we have, meaning I have, built regional processing centers, which he calls safe mobility offices, SMOs, in foreign nations, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and Guatemala. And what are those? Well, those are facilities that we built on our money to help illegal aliens be more efficient to come into America. So much so that they process some of them in those countries and fly them into America and release them. So you have your federal government taking your money to build facilities in foreign nations to help illegal aliens transit faster. Let that sink in. It's not even...
I mean, this isn't controversial even. Like, it's fact.
It's fact.
But I would say that the vast majority of Americans don't know this unless you're paying attention to alternative media. Anything coming through state media is going to just erase this.
Yeah. It's
so we have processing facilities in nations around the world to bring illegal immigrants here and to fly them directly. I've heard that we're flying people directly from countries into the interior of the United States. Is that happening?
That's happening under the Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, the CHNV program, okay? So instead of them coming to ports of entry, we just fly them in. But here's the dirty secret. Center for Immigration Studies, CIS.org, did a FOIA request back in last June, and said, we know you're flying people into America, not off that program, off a different program. And they admitted to it. They admitted that they flew in 221,000 illegal aliens from foreign nations across the globe and did not count them in their data. Then it gets better. CIS.org followed up that FOIA request with another FOIA request, and 6 months later, they come out and say, yeah, we didn't stop doing it. Now we're over 400,000. My sources and people that I follow, and I believe them, they believe the number is over 1.4 million. Ask yourself again, look it up. Fact check me. Over 1.5 million illegal aliens were flown into America by your government. And I want to mention, this is one airline. One airline, not all the others that we know about. You are looking at the systematic destruction of the United States of America. 1 in 6 residents in the United States of America is an illegal alien. 1 in 6.
It's unbelievable. And we go back to the immigration process. If you follow the legal immigration process, number one, we're usually getting the brightest and best. We really are. But secondarily, they go through an extensive process of learning our history, of learning our values, of learning our culture. And by the way, it's required that they learn English. That's actually part of our immigration law. And so when those people become citizens and they pledge allegiance to this nation and this country, they actually do so with pride. They're here to make a contribution, not for what they can get for free. We have just imported 20, 30, 40, however many million illegal immigrants who have no intention of making a contribution and have no intention of assimilating into the American culture. So here we go. Now what I think you mentioned early on was now it's disproportionately hurting our minority communities. And that may be the tipping point for America, where all of a sudden we finally get to a place where we say, wait a minute, those in our country that are having the hardest time now are being set aside for these illegals right here in our own backyard. It's just disturbing that we've gotten to this place so quickly in such a short time. Is it even possible, JJ? Is it possible if we began, let's say by some miracle, we have a different administration in charge, and they decide to mass deport these folks? Is it possible? How extensive would that be to deport? Number one, find, and number two, deport 15, 20, 25 million illegal immigrants.
It can be done. Yeah, it can be done, but it will be bloody. There will be blood on the streets, illegal alien blood, and our police officers and federal agents. Because we have gone down this hill so far, there's no way getting up on top unless you're going to willing to fight and bleed and sometimes die to do it.
Gosh,
this has already been done. We did this under Eisenhower in Operation Wetback. Over 1 million illegal aliens self-deported. Then what you do it immediately. I have this in my solutions. E-Verify for everything. You can't get a job. You can't get welfare. You can't go to school. You can't get medicine. You can't get anything unless you prove who you are. And they will leave. They will fight us. Now, you're going to get rid of the people that are going to go because you're going to tell them, if I find you after a certain amount of time and give you a month to leave, if I find you and I arrest you, you will be marked forever forbidden to come into the United States of America again. You'll never get relief, never. But if you leave, we will open up a program once we get our place in order, and we will allow you to come in if you meet our requirements. But we're not in any rush. We're not rushing to make your life better at the expense of my life. Okay?
Right.
Now, I want your audience to understand, you have millions of men that are gang members,
yes,
soldiers, police, and terrorists. They've been ordered to come here. They're not leaving their post. So we are going to have to eradicate them. But look how bad it is, Jimmy. Jimmy, look, let me just tell you listen how insane this is. Because I know I'm running out of time, but I want you to know. China's sending over all their PLA soldiers. The terrorists are sending over their terrorists. They don't even have to have supply lines to feed, medicate, and clothe them. We're doing it. We're housing them. We're giving them medicine. We're giving them food and vouchers and money. We are subsidizing and funding our demise. That's the only way to look at it. There is no other way.
So JJ, and I've heard this, and I've heard it from eyewitness accounts, and we've seen the videos of literally thousands and thousands and thousands of military-age men from China and from other countries, of course. Venezuela, they're just bringing the gangs and criminals. And now we have an epidemic of MS-13 gang members now throughout the nation. And you talk about a violence crisis. You talk about a violence against women crisis. We haven't even begun to see that experience. Where are all of these soldiers in America? Are they throughout the country at this point?
Yeah, they're hiding in plain sight. They're hiding in plain sight. You got to understand. You can only put so many people in New York City and Chicago. They have to go. They're hiding in plain sight, and they're just waiting for the orders. Let me give you one example before I have to go.
Yeah.
Last week, 8 Kyrgyzstanians crossed the border. They were processed by Border Patrol, released. Come to find out, they were 8 known ISIS terrorists. They traveled 7,500 miles from Kyrgyzstan into America. And when they got to America, did they stay together? No. They separated and went to LA, New York, and Philadelphia. Why? Well, because they're going to their cells. That's why. And then ICE let it slip. Well, there were more people with them. Oh, and the media didn't even say, well, how many more? And where are they? They have no idea. Look, these people they're not crossing in groups of 5 or 6. They're crossing in groups of hundreds, if not thousands. You have terrorists in your nation, America. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Christopher Wray, more red flags than before 9/11. Donald Trump, there will be 100% terrorist attack before the 2024 election. Mayorkas, I have no idea where all these people are. Connect the dots, people. This isn't me talking. I'm quoting the power sources that are telling you it's coming.
Yeah.
So don't be shocked when things start blowing up and people are dying. Just don't.
Yeah.
And don't blame me because I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. And I'll tell you what, thank you for kind of peeling back the layers on this and showing the extent of the problem, because most people don't believe it. you have facts, you have documentation. When your documentary comes out, this is all going to be laid out in full color, and so everyone's going to be able to see it. Give us some encouragement, because I think, for me, it makes me more vigilant, more diligent in my preparation to protect my own family, my neighbors, my loved ones, my property. It makes me more vigilant. Give us 2 or 3 things that we can do, and I think the election has to be part of that discussion. Give us 2 or 3 things that we can do to become more prepared, more aware, and to shift the tide on this issue.
Okay. My only advice is 2 things. You have to get Donald Trump to be president. He's not the answer. He's the shield that's going to shield us from all the evil and allow us to do the work. Get him elected, and then you be ready to go to work. You be ready to go to work. Don't sit back and go, everything's okay. And the second thing is, get all of America First patriots in your city council and school board. And then you take over your county and your city, and you take over the county, and you take over your state. And that's how you do it. Our founding fathers told us how to do it. They gave us the blueprint. It's not the federal government. They hated federal centralized power. The power is in the people at the lowest level. We have got to pull back and take all of our powers back. Not ask for them, take them back. That's the only answer. That's it. And Jimmy, I'm sorry that I could talk to you forever about this.
Yeah,
but I appreciate it. I just have got to go.
Super enlightening. You bet, man. Let me end this. Thank you so much, JJ. I appreciate you.